So whether you're in New York or San Francisco, or Chicago or Denver, all cities 200,000 above get zero urban transit money. Chicago, that means is we were getting $250 million in 1994. Today we get zero. And so in these cities you can get 10% cap for trains and buses, with zero for operations. So in some places you have new trains and new buses and no one to drive them.
The people who need the service most, 80% of the people that work in this city use mass transit. Look at the numbers. They don't lie. And yet, we have government that's not willing to fund it properly, take care of capital expenses, but also take care of an infrastructure that needs people to operate.
They have an obligation to the writing citizens of this country to provide transportation. That was in their charter when public transit was formed. And they're not honoring that by saying to everybody around, well, we have money, but we can't use it. We've got to change that law. We need to let Congress know that the Carnahan bill and the one that just introduced in the Senate side by Cheryl Brown out of Ohio, that's the answer. That gets the flex money. We're not looking for new money. Take the money we now have that's sitting in their coffers at this time of need, switch it over, and let it be for operating.
I think the picture we're trying to paint here is that mass transit is an essential public service along the lines of fire, police, and sanitation. And until the decision makers in this country recognize that, there's going to be crisis after crisis after crisis funding mass transit in cities across the country.
We are here to tell workers that we support you. We demand more federal funding for public transit. We demand better service, and we are no longer going to believe that workers need to take cuts. Our family members who are workers don't need to take cuts. Our family workers, our family who work on the trains and buses, represent our communities, and we are here to support you. We want more money. We want the Carnahan bill to pass this year, and I implore all transit riders to come out and support the transit workers.
This is something that we must let the rest of the government in both Albany and in Washington know that we need a change. This is unacceptable, and as people who use the buses and the subways, I urge all of you to join this Keep America Moving movement and to get out there and call for the change that we need. And that is to restore operating funds for our buses and subways in cities like New York and all across this country.
Mass transit is an investment in our future and reducing the future costs and economic impacts of higher energy prices. That's something everyone can understand. You remember the oil price spike of a couple of years ago? Do you think oil prices are going to go lower, stay the same, or be higher? As oil prices increase, as they inevitably will, the availability of buses, subways, and trains is vital to preserving a stable economy.
We need people to continue to maintain and run those systems. It creates the jobs. It is a common sense policy that we need to move forward with in Washington, D.C.
What is the good of having an economic recovery if we don't have the infrastructure to support it? If we don't have people able to go to work and to be able to know that they're going into a safe environment, then we cannot recover unless we have a good transit system to recover.